Hello everyone. This video is not related to a new topic but few additional things that is good to know. First, we'll learn about integer overflow and wrapping the value. Sometimes adding two numbers isn't as simple as it looks, especially when they overflow. In Rust, if you try to add 1 to 255 using U8, the max value it can store, in debug mode, it will panic. Panic in Rust is a runtime error that causes the program to crash immediately. It happens when the program encounters an unrecoverable error, or it can be triggered manually as well. But I mentioned that it will panic in debug mode, which basically means the development environment. So when we execute the commands cargo run or cargo build, the code is compiled in debug mode. Compilation in release mode happens when we run the code with the release flag. This basically compiles the code for production build. Now, when we add 1 to 255 using U8 variable in release mode, Rust does not check for overflow by default. Instead, Rust will just roll it over silently using wrapping arithmetic. This means that 255 plus 1 will become the first minimum value and U8 can hold, which is 0. But in debug mode, instead of making the code panic, we can handle this explicitly by using few specific functions. First is wrapping add. It wraps around the value on overflow like in release mode. In this code, we are adding to 255 by using the wrapping add function. It won't panic and the result will be 0. Second is checked add. It returns option so you get none on overflow instead of panicking. Option is an enum used to represent the presence or absence of a value, making null related bugs impossible at compile time. We will learn more on options later. In our case, it will return none. That is a null value. But if we add 1 to 100, then it will return sum of 101. Third is overflowing add. This returns a tuple containing the wrapped result and true if overflow occurred, else it will return a false. The last one is saturating add. This clamps the result to the maximum value on overflow. So, in our case, the result will be 255 since that is the maximum value U8 variable can hold. So far, I have given all the examples using U8, but it will behave the same for other data types as well. So, for I8, adding 1 to 127 will give the result minus 128. Next, let's talk about variable scopes. In Rust, variables only exist within the block enclosed with curly braces in which they are declared. So if you define something inside a smaller block, like a nested function or loop, it's gone once that block ends. This makes memory safer and easier to manage. No dangling variables since everything is scoped tightly. Let me explain with an example. Here, x is declared within the scope of main function, enclosed with the curly brackets. We can add another inner scope by adding another pair of curly brackets. Now, let's declare a variable y and assign a value to it. Then, let's print the variable. Here, x is declared in the outer block. So when we print it in the outer block, this works fine. Similarly, for y, which is declared in the inner block, can be printed inside the inner block. Now if we try to access y from the outer block, it throws error. This is because the scope of y is within the inner block and cannot be accessed outside it. You can see from the error, cannot find value y in this scope. But if we try to access x from the inner block, it will work fine. This is because x is declared in the outer block, so it is within the scope of the inner block. We can also assign values to variable using this scoped block of code. Inside this block of code, we are calculating the value, and once it is completed, like we have learned previously in function, we are returning the value by using an expression. So these are the few things which we need to keep in mind while coding in Rust. That's all for now in this video. In the next video, we will start with strings. We'll see you there.